Today I'm going to talk to you about inflammation, what it is, where it comes from, and how you can understand to remove it from your body, which is a game changer when it comes to getting rid of pain and chronic illness. That's the topic, and that's what we're going to achieve. Welcome to the Health Builders community, where you will find natural solutions to many health problems. So what is inflammation? It sounds like a technical word, and I suppose in many ways it is, but how does it work? What is it doing there? Why does the body put it there in the first place? So let's say you get a thorn in your finger. What happened is you have something that has invaded the space, got inside your body, and is seen as basically a threat. So you have this incredible immune system with thousands, in fact, billions of different cells, all designed to attack and kill invaders and to protect you. And so they come in and they start working at killing the invaders. And in order to get them in there, the body opens up the area, creates more blood flow, and increases the heat, because when you increase the heat of anything, it increases the speed of the reaction. So now you've got this inflammation, which is this hot area where more cells are coming in from your lymphatic system, things like little white blood cells and cytokines. There's a whole rake of stuff going in there. Anyway, the blood flow is increased, the blood comes rushing in, and heat is increased, and you get this swelling, and for you it equals pain, soreness and swelling. But eventually, when, assuming of course that you take the thorn out of your finger, which is kind of a pretty logical thing to do, right? You treat the cause, not the effect. You can't expect the body to fix the problem if you leave the thorn in your finger. Logical? I think so. So what we always do with natural therapies or natural medicine, we treat the cause, not the effect. Unfortunately, conventional medicine doesn't do that. Conventional medicine in this scenario would say, well, let's take a painkiller so that you don't feel the pain. Obviously, you need to take the thorn out. Let's assume we've taken out the thorn, and now the organisms that are in there, the bugs, are all flying around, and your body's setting up this incredible resistance, fighting them, killing them, getting rid of them. Pus is which sometimes happens when you have a cut like that or a thorn, is the accumulation of millions and millions and millions of dead white blood cells as they kill the bugs and eliminate them from the body. So eventually the body, hopefully, in the case of say a thorn, will overcome the problem, the inflammation and swelling will go down, the pain will be relieved, and you'll end up with what would be considered to be a healing. Okay? Now, in that situation, which is a specific thorn in a specific place, that's what happens at a physical level. Obviously, that's not what's happening in the case of chronic inflammation, which is present in the case of most chronic illness. And many of these are just lasting on and on and on. So you've got this chronic inflammation because there's a chronic stimulation of your immune system, which is looking to say there's something wrong here, we need to get it out of the body because it's causing a problem, but it's not completing the journey because it's having difficulty figuring out what's going on. So now the next question is, what does your immune system really do? Let's look at the big picture. Your immune system is designed to protect you, okay? And it protects you all day long, every day. Every breath you take in has millions and billions of bacteria and bugs and dust and everything else coming into the lungs, which could attack and would attack your body, but your immune system is extremely active in your lungs, and as soon as they get in, it nails them, so you don't have a problem. If you're ending up with lung problems, it's because your immune system is under pressure for whatever reason. So this is happening all the time. Your immune system is designed to protect you. But let's look at the big picture, because this is so important if you want to treat the cause and not the effect. You need to understand this, and this is something that conventional medicine doesn't even look at, but you as an ordinary human being know it's true. Think of this. You have thoughts, you have feelings, okay? Whatever they are, wherever they exist, they are not physical, but they are absolutely real. You know if somebody says something nasty to you, it affects your physical body. You know if you get a phone call from some terrible accident that's happened or someone has died, no one has touched you, but you start to feel maybe sick in your stomach and lightheaded and faint. That's because of the effect of the mind and the emotions on the physical body. We know it affects the physical body. What we don't appreciate is that it affects it much, much more than we realize. And so when we're looking at inflammation in the body, particularly chronic inflammation, we have to understand that the effects of the mind and the emotions, the effects of shock, the effects of trauma from years ago can over time accumulate and suppress your immune system and prevent it from doing what it wants or needs to do. So this is a whole new dimension of understanding, okay? And this is where where the key to healing your body is. You understand this. You are a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a body. That's the way God made every single person on this planet. Your spirit is your connection to life. It's the life force that gives you life. Your connection to God, if you like. Your soul is your mind and your emotions. That's the part of you that you know as you. It's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's who you feel you are. And then there are all sorts of energy systems which you've possibly heard of, chakras and acupuncture meridians and all these things, and the energy flows down through these into your physical body to give you the physical life that we know of as health in our body. Now, the interesting thing about this is when I'm talking about energy, you hear me talking about energy a lot, right? Albert Einstein 100 years ago said there is no other reality in creation except energy. Everything in creation is energy. That's it. There's no other thing. So your desk in front of you, that's a form of energy that looks like a desk. Your body is a form of energy that looks like a body. A tree is a form of energy that looks like a tree, and so on. Everything is simply energy. And that's a pretty important thing to understand. So your thoughts and your feelings are a form of energy that exist in you, around you, that makes you who you are, but they're not physical. So understanding this is step number one in terms of figuring out a program that you can create for yourself, which I'm going to show you how to do, that will allow you to take yourself from wherever you are now into a much more healed and healing place, and to generate a whole healing journey for yourself, which will eventually get you well. So this is a big leap if you're just going to the doctor and you've never really thought about this. This is taking responsibility for your own stuff. So the day is gone where you can walk into the doctor and say, I have a pain, fix it. No, that's never the way it was meant to be, and it was never going to work properly, because taking a painkiller for a pain is sticking a plaster on the problem. It's like putting a sticking plaster on the thorn and not taking the thorn out. You need to say, why have I got a pain? And very often when you figure it out, the pain isn't coming necessarily from something physical. It may well be coming from other places like emotional trauma. So this is something I just let you think about this, because it's very important. Of course, the big question is, how do you figure this out? How can you know? How can you work out what's going on? Well, there is a system called energy kinesiology, which is profoundly simple and simply profound, that allows you to interrogate the body in this area, and it's just absolutely amazing. I've been using it now for nearly 45 years. So I've seen amazing things happen in people's body when they just listen to what their body wants to say. So energy kinesiology is the game changer. And the good news is that anyone can learn it. It's not difficult. I have a course online there. You can learn it literally in a day. And it is a life-changing situation that will just empower you to take responsibility for your own health and to release the enormous potential you have for health and healing in your body. You can do this, which is just wonderful. So this is how you were designed. You were designed to be able to help fix yourself. You weren't designed to just run to the doctor. But because there's no alternatives, that's all people can do. I'm giving you an alternative now that will absolutely change forever the way you look at health and healing. So it's called energy kinesiology, and I'll explain a little bit more about it. In fact, the course, and there's a link in the description of this video to a free course where you can get the basics, understand what's going on, and then an actual training course that shows you how to do it, which is it is just amazing. And like I say, it's simple, not expensive, very easy to do. Once you do it and get practiced at it, you just won't believe the difference it makes. Because with energy kinesiology, you can actually ask the body, you can interrogate the body and say, okay, so I've got a headache, say. Where in my energy system is that headache coming from? It could be coming from anywhere. You have 14 major organs in your body, lung, liver, kidney, all those things, and each one of them has an acupuncture meridian system controlling it or running it or energizing it. And there's a point on the body for each one of those that will allow you to access information about that system. So you don't have to go for expensive scans or any of those things. Your body will tell you, here's where the problem's coming from. It's pretty amazing. And the most amazing thing about it is that you can learn to do this yourself in the comfort of your own home. That's what the training video is all about. The first part is learn the basic simple system how to do it. And the second part is, where are these points? How do I touch them? What do they mean? And then, here's the even more fascinating thing, everything, all these points are connected to the emotions behind it. So in a matter of moments, you can figure out what was the emotion behind it. You may not be feeling it in your consciousness, but your supercomputer knows what's going on. Let me explain this concept of a supercomputer. So you have 70 trillion living cells. That's a vast number. It's beyond measure. You couldn't count it. It's impossible to count that number. So basically, you've got this huge supercomputer up here running the show. These 70 trillion living cells didn't fall together by chance. They are put there with this incredible supercomputer, which knows everything about you. It knows what's caused your problem. It put it there. It knows how to fix it, but it has no way of telling you. So I'm relating the supercomputer to the subconscious and the unconscious mind. That part of you, 99.9% of everything in your body is being run by that you don't even know. After all, you're not telling your heart to beat, you're not telling yourself to breathe, you're not telling your eyes to flick, or all the other millions and trillions of things that are going on in your body. It's all automatic, for want of a better word. That's your supercomputer. And it has the information you need to get well. And energy kinesiology is the bridge between the two worlds, the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. It's fascinating, and it's simple, and anybody can learn it. But nobody knows about it, so nobody uses it. That's what I'm explaining to you here. So all this, I've said all this because it is highly significant when it comes to inflammation in your body. Remember I said the body is looking at protecting you, and the cause of some of these things isn't necessarily physical. Let me give you an example. This is a bit of an extreme example, but it's actually true. So let's say that you have, you're a sensitive person, you're easily upset by people, you're very, what do I say, you're sympathetic to people, you have a lot of empathy, and you pick up on people's stuff, and people easily wound you and affect you and hurt you. And so, you know, people who say nasty things to you, it really wounds you. And so your supercomputer's job is to protect you from this. So here, the wound is coming in here at the emotional level. This is the physical level down here. This is the emotional level. So the supercomputer runs programs not by mistake, in an attempt to protect you. And it says, wow, if we were to put more weight, more substance, more fat around your body, then that will protect us. But of course it won't, because it's thinking we can protect, by protecting the physical, we can protect the emotional. It doesn't work like that, as you know. You got to do it this way, physical to physical, emotional to emotional. These two don't match. So what happens then is you've got people who have weight problems, can't lose weight, don't eat anything hardly at all, still put on weight. It's because the emotional traumas of their life have been so unprocessed, excuse me, that they basically have been, the computer has tried to protect you as best it knows how, but it hasn't worked. And so it's created this layer of physical protection against an emotional or traumatic situation, or many situations. And so you have this mismatch, and that's the way it is. So when you figure that out and you start using energy kinesiology to figure out what was the trauma, what was the emotion, how do we clear it, and there are simple ways of clearing it, suddenly the supercomputer no longer needs to protect you, because you've dealt with the trauma, and now the weight can fall off, and it's really nothing got to do with what you're eating at all. So it's the same with inflammation. A lot of the time in the body, can attack itself. I mean, you hear of this thing called autoimmune disease, which is becoming very, very common. Autoimmune illness is the body is attacking itself. So you'd have to ask the question, why would your body ever attack itself? I mean, that's weird, but that's a mismatched program where your body sees some of the stuff in its own cells as being foreign material. And so it sets up the immune system to attack itself. Now that's very, very often caused by, think about it, what is it I don't like about myself so much that I need to actually attack myself? So we're dealing with the subtle, more less physical parts of our being. When you figure out what that is, which you can do with energy kinesiology, not too difficult, then suddenly the autoimmune system says, gosh, you know, I don't have to attack myself anymore, and it calms everything down, and the problem starts to slowly disappear. You see, we're treating the cause, not the effect. Drugs never look at this part of your being, and yet 4/5 of everything you are isn't even physical. So this is holistic health. This is about looking at the big picture. But if we go back to the basics, go back to the physical level, where you've got the actual inflammation that's happening and all the cells fighting, there are foods that increase inflammation in the body, and there are foods that decrease inflammation in the body. You need to know which they are, and you need to avoid the ones that are increasing inflammation. And I have a separate teaching or training on that called Foods That Harm and Foods That Heal. And that's a free video training which you can get to and go through that. It will have a big impact. Because one of the mega things that's causing inflammation in the body today for people is food, because food has become so toxic because of the way it's grown and because of the fact that it contains a lot of chemicals, artificial additives, preservatives. Those things really aren't meant to be in your gut. And when they get into your gut, they completely upset everything. And there's another great key in clearing inflammation: balancing your gut. I would say that if I had a magic wand and I could wave it over somebody's digestive system and heal it completely, 90% of all illness would disappear out of their body. It's that significant. And yet when you look at the way food is being produced and the harmful stuff that's in it, you can understand why people are becoming sicker, and because the gut is becoming less healthy. And again, I have a whole training thing on that. It's called the human biome, biome. The biome is the latest. That's sort of the new kid on the block in science. They're discovering all sorts of incredible stuff that's going on inside your gut that is having positive and negative impact on your health. So that's another thing you could look at in terms of inflammation. And third one, and a big one, is environmental toxicity. It's everywhere. And again, it's coming in your food. You've got Wi-Fi, you've got your water, you've even got the air we breathe. So there's loads of sources of toxicity in the environment, and you have to look at these and neutralize them as best you can. Now, in some cases, food or environmental toxicities can be the issue that's causing the problem. It can be. And if you don't know, how are you going to fix it? So if you knew it was the issue and you changed it, bingo, you have a solution. That's how these things work. You just have to basically figure it out for yourself. So I'll give you an example. In my case, I was sick for the first 20 years of my life, always sick. Migraine, bronchitis, sinusitis, terrible lethargy. My back used to go out. I was a mess. And of course, nobody knew anything how to fix it. Went to the doctor, they did their thing, got drugs, even had operations. None of it worked. I grew worse. Then I woke up one morning and a light bulb went on, or went off, if you like, in my head. And I thought, if I don't find a solution to this, no one else is going to, because they don't seem to know what's going on. And I was catapulted into the world of complementary medicine. And that's where I started to learn about herbs and homeopathy and all these other things. And at that stage, we did not have this wonderful muscle monitoring system called kinesiology, energy kinesiology. It was only in its infancy. It hadn't really hit the world probably until the late 80s, when it became well known through Touch for Health. But up until then, it wasn't known. So what did I do? Well, when I got married, my beautiful wife said, she said, well, okay, maybe it's something you're eating. So we started looking at food. And we had only a mechanical way of doing this. So we said, well, what happens if I stop eating meat? No change. How about cereal or bread? No change. But when I stopped eating dairy products, a massive change happened. Unbelievable. It was like a light switch. And so I came to realize that I had this huge sensitivity to dairy products. I never knew about it. I was so sensitive, I could take my finger, put it on a block of cheese, put it in my tongue, and have a blinding migraine headache in 5 minutes. I mean, that's crazy, but that's how sensitive I was. And I didn't know. And of course, in Ireland and in those days, milk was a great food. And for many people it is, but for some people, unfortunately, it isn't. We didn't have any way of figuring it out except through basically excluding different foods, excluding an exclusion diet. However, now in minutes with energy kinesiology, you can identify what food is harming you before you even eat it. It's fascinating, and it's so powerful and so helpful, especially when foods and environmental toxins can be such a big deal. One of the possible ones, and it just says one, mercury in your teeth. That's a big deal for some people because it's extremely toxic. It shouldn't be in there in the first place, and it causes all sorts of health challenges, especially if your immune system. So you can check and see, is that the issue? Maybe, maybe not. If it is, it can be a game changer. So there are many things you can do to check, and I have a list of the things that you need to check. But initially, of course, you've got to be able to know, how do I check it? And you use energy kinesiology to do that. So I would really encourage you to click the link, look at the free training, look at the course, and get yourself empowered. Because once you've got the power to do this, everything will start to change. So you can see that the solutions for this thing are not going to be, I don't matter what chronic illness you have, you're very seldom going to find a solution in drug therapy, simply because they're not treating the cause. Most of the cause of most chronic illness is not coming from the physical body, it's coming from the energy system and trauma in your biofield. And that's just the way it is. Whether you believe it or not, that's the way it is. And if you're willing to look at that, and it's not difficult, then we can really make progress, and you can make huge progress. I mean, in the case of food sensitivities, which are very common, most people have food, I would say 95%, maybe more, of everyone on the planet has a food sensitivity to something. Some of them are not extreme, some of them are moderate, some of them are even just there, but not to a degree that's causing huge problems. They still have a problem with them though, and if you can eliminate those foods, suddenly your health improves, your energy increases, everything starts to improve, including your mind and your brain and the way you think and your clarity. Now there are foods, like I said, that are really powerful anti-inflammatory foods, and you need to include them in your diet. And again, that's in a separate training, because I could spend all day talking about that, and there's no point in doing that here. What I'm going to do, trying to do here, is to give you the big picture, to help you to understand you can fix this problem. It's in your hands to do this. Once you know how to use energy kinesiology, you can fix the problem yourself with the help of others. And then you can help others too, which is even more wonderful, because once you know how to do it, you can help do it for other people. So inflammation is the outpouring of the result of an underlying cause, which is, if you like, an attack on the body from somewhere, or an aberration in the way the cells are working, so the body sees the cells as being hostile when they aren't. And that's what's happening with food sensitivities. They're coming into the gut, the body's seeing them there, and it's creating, whoops, they shouldn't be here, and it sets up to attack them, and that creates all the problems that are associated with them. Mucus, phlegm, headaches, loads of different things, all associated with an attack of the body in the gut. Remember, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. That's a lot. So if your gut isn't right, 70% of your immune system isn't right. That's a lot. And the energy, the physical energy in your body, comes from your liver, and the liver is fed from the food that comes, the food in the blood that has been digested goes into the liver, and that's where you get your physical energy. And one of the big problems we have today is what we might call a leaky gut, where the food is not being properly digested and getting into the bloodstream in a less than perfect form, creating lots of problems. So you can see a lot of it's around the gut, So have a look at the training I have. That's foods that harm and foods that heal and foods that harm, foods that harm and foods that heal. I'm not sure which way it is. But basically that's the training you need. Look at the whole issue of how do I heal my gut? What do I need to do? And it's not difficult. It's about food. It's about choices. It's about lifestyle changes. How do I increase the blood flow in my body? What's the significance of a little bit more exercise? And I know when you're in pain, moving is difficult, but you have to start somewhere. And the trick is cut off the cause. Get the cause out of the way. And if the cause is physical, which in every case there's some physical component, in every case there's an emotional component, it's just how big an amount is of each are you looking at, and you can't know that unless you have a way of testing it, and with energy kinesiology you can figure it out in minutes. So all the training leads you in this direction, that you can basically figure this out yourself, and that's really what you need to do. So in terms of dealing with inflammation, the first thing you got to do is figure out what's causing my problem. And you're never going to figure that out if you don't have energy kinesiology to basically give you the answer. So I look forward to seeing you as we travel along the road and we help you to develop your own personal healing program, which is what this is all about, so that you can become empowered to release the enormous potential you have to bring health and healing into your body and into the bodies of your families, your friends, and everybody else. So it's an exciting journey, and thank you for watching.